We begin with breaking news here at 5 o'clock. A verdict is in the ComEd bribery trial, the so-called ComEd 4, accused of a wide-ranging bribery scheme to funnel money and jobs to associates of then House Speaker Michael Madigan.
Yeah, prosecutors say this helped bills favorable to the utility get through the legislature in Springfield. The verdict will be read once all the parties involved have assembled in the courtroom. A few of the defendants have now arrived. We're waiting for two others. As we wait, let's take a look at some of the charges those defendants are facing today.
Yeah, this is a summary of the various charges that the defendants are facing: bribery, conspiracy, bribery, willfully falsifying ComEd books and records. Some of these charges do come with prison time. Bribery conspiracy is going to be the big one to watch for, because that is essentially the crux of the case, that these former executives of ComEd, some of whom went on to become lobbyists, others who were just lobbyists and who were directing the utility's influence, conspired together to curry favor with Mike Madigan by hiring his cronies, by hiring people that he viewed as allies, with the goal of getting Mike Madigan's help on legislature that would be favorable to the utility. After all, at the time when Mike Madigan was Speaker of the Illinois House, you couldn't get a bill called without his approval.
So bribery conspiracy being one of them, bribery with a maximum sentence of 10 years behind bars and a pretty hefty fine of $250,000. And then one of the other charges includes falsifying business records, which that's actually covers a pretty large fine of about $5 million and the possibility of 20 years in prison. Someone who can talk to us a little bit more about this, let's bring in Joe Doherty. He is a partner at Burke Law. He also served for Cook County State's Attorney's Office. What can you make of this case so far and what you've seen so far as part of this trial, Joe?
Well, good evening, Lourdes and Ben. It's obviously a very complicated case. There's been tons of evidence that's gone before this jury: videotape, audio tape, and witness testimony. There are some very complicated instructions that Judge Weber has given to them. There have been some questions that have come back from the jurors, and you're now getting ready to see whether or not they're going to find the defendants guilty of everything, guilty of some things, or acquit them of all things. I don't think that this has been an overly long delivered process. We've had testimony for 7 or 8 weeks, and I believe today is day 5. So there have been situations where the verdicts have come much quicker. There have also been cases specifically involving government corruption that have come much longer after the deliberation by the jurors.
Yeah, this jury's been at this about 27 hours over several days, Joe. As we get word from the courtroom now that all of the defendants have now arrived, we expect to have that verdict read in the courtroom in the next few moments. Just to set the stage for viewers, there are no cameras in federal courtrooms in Chicago, so we do this the old-fashioned way. We have a reporter and a producer who are not only in the courtroom, but then another one in an overflow courtroom, because in the main courtroom you can't use your phone, but in an overflow courtroom you can. They're literally going to let us know count by count, defendant by defendant, how this goes. So it may be a little bit of a bumpy ride here over the next couple of minutes as we await these verdicts.
Sort of the logistics of all of this.
Exactly. Joe, a lot of times attorneys can look at a case. In this one, it's count 1 is the kind of big conspiracy, this notion of, hey, let's do something, bribe Mike Madigan through giving him something of value, not an envelope full of cash, but by basically putting his cronies on the payroll to curry his favor. The conspiracy charge, why is that the biggie in this case?
Well, it actually sets the stage for these actors. When I talk about actors, I mean the 4 people who are defendants that are charged, and others who might be cooperating as witnesses, acted in conjunction with one another to achieve a common goal. It's oftentimes, you'll see this, the federal government specifically, will charge a conspiracy count.
Joe, let me stop you for 1 second, and I'm going to let you continue your thought, but I just want to let the viewers know that 1 count has already come in for McClain. That's the lobbyist in all of this. Count 1 is a guilty verdict from the jurors. If I could have the producer sort of read those to me, I'll mark them as you talk, and maybe, Ben, if you have any other questions.
Yeah, so count 1, Mike McClain is this kind of interesting picture
All counts guilty for McClain is what I'm getting right now.
All counts guilty for McClain. McClain is this kind of interesting character who has been around forever in Springfield. He was Mike Madigan's guy. You couldn't get to Madigan without going through McClain. Madigan didn't communicate his wishes to many people except McClain. So the fact that Mike McClain now been found guilty on all counts related to the ComEd 4 trial. Joe, what does that tell you as we await more verdicts here?
Well, that's obviously not a good sign for any of the other defendants, and it certainly isn't a good sign for former Speaker Madigan. My understanding is that Mr. McClain was
Doherty also all guilty.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Jay Doherty, who was the former head of the City Club, who was also charged in this case, also been found guilty on all counts. Sorry to interrupt you, Joe. But you were making this point as we get more and more guilty verdicts in here that you have people who were directly interacting with Mike Madigan on this topic. What is the fact that these guilty verdicts are coming in due to Mike Madigan's future? Because he is also going to face a judge and potentially a jury in the next year or so.
Right. Well, as you know, former Speaker Madigan is under indictment at the present time, too. He will be tried. And I think the most telling thing that I witnessed in observing this trial over these several weeks is the amount of time that the government used the word Mike Madigan and over and over and over again. That was clearly a theme that they wanted to get through to this jury, that these defendants were working on their own and on behalf of one another, and with the assistance of Speaker Madigan to gain favor and get certain things done in the legislature with ComEd. And as the defense has said, this is really just lobbying. This jury clearly rejected that as to both Mr. McClain and Mr. Doherty. And it would not be surprising if they reject that as to the other defendants.
Let's interrupt here for a second because we're getting now the full verdict. It looks like it is guilty on all counts for all 4 of the defendants this afternoon. That is Anne Pramaggiore, Jay Doherty, John Hooker, Michael McClain. All of those charges found to be guilty by that jury.
So let's go over who these characters are. Mike McClain, we were talking about. He was the guy there on the left side of your screen, Mike Madigan's consigliere, if you will, for many decades in Springfield. Mike McClain's closest confidant, some would argue, even a friend to Mike Madigan. He referred to Madigan by a code name, our friend, in communications. Anne Pramaggiore, she was a well-liked CEO of ComEd. She was on the civic circuit in the city of Chicago. Somebody who really broke a glass ceiling, developed a lot of working relationships in the city. But throughout this trial, we found out that, at least in her own words, she told Mike McClain that she credited Mike Madigan with helping her rise in the ComEd and Exelon, its parent company.
And the way she described it, because she took the, she testified in her own defense really during this trial, and she basically talked about that they sort of taught her the ins and outs, the inner workings of how things, you know, went on in Springfield and even at a high corporate level. So again, Anne Pramaggiore, guilty on all of the counts this afternoon. And then you've got the other characters in this case, Jay Doherty being one of them, and John Hooker. Jay Doherty was a lobbyist and a city club president during this time. And then John Hooker worked for ComEd for a time over the course of years and then became an external lobbyist for ComEd in Springfield.
What's interesting about this is you've got guilty verdicts all. You've got Mike Madigan's trial coming up in about a year, give or take. The question is, do the feds have any leverage now to get any of these folks to cooperate against Mike Madigan? Joe Rowdy, you want to offer any thoughts on that?
Well, they always have leverage to try to get people to cooperate if they want to. They may feel, and again, I can't speak for them, they may want to have discussions with them if they think they need more evidence or more witnesses. They may not, and they may feel comfortable with the fact that these 4 were convicted on all counts. I'm sure the government's feeling very strongly about their case as it relates to this entire area of conspiracy and bribery.
Okay.
And I would also say that it should be noted that it's been decades, numerous decades, The last time any public type of corruption case was a not guilty at 219 South Dirksen. So the government has had numerous successes, and today is yet another one in which not only were these four defendants found guilty of all counts, but really, in essence, they found the entire way of sort of doing business and lobbying in Springfield guilty too. And that might be the argument that they'll make moving forward as they go towards the speaker's trial and other people engaged in this.
Okay. Joe Roddy, we want you to stand by here this afternoon, but we do want to get to some of our other reporters. We've been talking about Julian Cruz has been covering this trial throughout the last 7 weeks or so. Let's go to you, Julian. What's it like there at the Dirksen Federal Building this afternoon?
Well, Lourdes and Ben, no outward visible reaction from the four defendants when this devastating verdict was read. 9 counts, guilty on all 9 counts, each of the four defendants. Maybe a little bit of a stunned look on their faces. Of course, you've got to think that in discussions with their lawyers, they were prepared for the possibility of a guilty verdict. But we've now reached, this was 1 week now, that the jury had been deliberating, and it raised some speculation that perhaps they were having some difficulties in the jury room reaching a consensus. Some of the veteran legal analysts who we talked to, Terry Sullivan, saying that the note that was sent out yesterday by jurors, a clarification on the language, could be problematic. Terry Sullivan arguing that he believes that this case will be appealed. Sullivan also saying he believes it'll go all the way to the Supreme Court given some of the issues. Of course, the defense attorneys during this trial arguing that their clients did nothing wrong, that they were lobbying at the House, the Illinois House. This was over an 8-year period from 2011 until 2019 that allegedly they were orchestrating this scheme. Of course, the jurors with the guilty verdict saying that they agree with prosecutors. So just a stunning moment. Of course, Michael Madigan looming over all of these proceedings. Ben and Lourdes, as we know, he was not part of this proceeding, but he will be facing his own corruption trial in April of 2024. Back to you guys.
All right, Julian Cruz, thank you. Please stand by throughout the afternoon. We'll continue to check in with you. We now want to invite Paul Lisnek, our political analyst here at WGN, for more insight on this trial. Paul, let me get your initial thoughts.
Well, Lourdes and Ben, look, Joe Roddy said it best when he said, you know, the feds generally don't lose cases. They win 96, 97% of their cases, and they have very good luck, obviously, down at our federal building. So perhaps on that level, no surprise. Julian raised the issue of the jurors asking questions. I think many of our viewers know that part of my career path was that I was a jury consultant for many years. And so the notion of jurors asking questions does raise the issue. Are they confused? Does that mean they're fighting with each other? They're disagreeing? And here, of course, with this result, we now know that this jury pretty much took their duties very seriously, making sure they understood the law as it was presented to them and suggesting that they were following the law as presented to them, which, of course, ultimately means that down the line, they found everybody guilty. As Joe Roddy said, not good news for Mike Madigan, because this argument presented by defendants, while this was just politics as usual in Illinois, welcome to Springfield, here's a jury that said, we don't buy it. That's not the way things work. This violated the law. So if you're Mike Madigan, you're not sleeping well right now.
Yeah, if you put your jury consultant hat on, Paul, I could have seen a scenario where, you know, grizzled Chicago residents would listen to this testimony and go, yeah, of course that's how they do it. Are you surprised that this is a line in the sand, at least from this jury at the federal building, that says, no, 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 this is not how you can lobby public officials?
Well, it depends what kind of PR, if you will, comes out of this verdict in terms of, you know, the lessons that are taught both to legislators and lobbyists and everybody who's involved. Certainly, if somebody's a lobbyist in Springfield, this is going to give them pause as well. You know, one of the interesting things from the jury consulting perspective, Ben, is this jury was out, as you said, about 27 hours over a period of around a week. There's a general rule of thumb lawyers will say, which is jurors are out about a day for every week that there is in trial, not far from that. But here's the thing. Had this jury come back very quickly, that might have been suggestive that they were going to convict. Staying out this long would have been where, as a defendant, you'd say, they're having trouble here. They're disagreeing here. They're not coming back quickly with an agreement. But I go back to my previous point, which was this was a jury understanding, I think, the import of what it was doing and wanted to make sure it got it right.
All right, Paul Lisnek, thank you so much for your insight. We will touch base with you throughout the afternoon. In the meantime, we do want to go to a short break, and we'll be right back, everybody.